We all breathe oxygen, don't we? Well, if your answer to the previous question was yes, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that is not exactly the case. Mainly, we breathe air, which according to Oxford's dictionary is a homogeneous mixture of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, a small quantity of helium, and water vapors. Oxygen comprises only 21% of air, more precisely 20.98%. Once this air gets into our lungs, oxygen diffuses into the bloodstreams and the complex biological process goes on. So what would happen if this 20.98% of molecular oxygen suddenly vanishes for, let's say, about 8 minutes? How would your body respond to it? Will everyone die? How about aquatic life? How will plants respond to it? Here's 8 things, and here are the 8 things that will happen if molecular oxygen from our atmosphere suddenly disappears for a period of 8 minutes. Firstly, contrary to the common belief, we won't feel suffocation instantly. Rather, our breathing would continue just like normal until our body reacts to the lack of oxygen availability. It won't be an instantaneous reaction, but gradually the oxygenated blood will affect the normal functioning of our body organs, which will result in dizziness, numb organs, and eventually death or severe brain damage within 3 or 6 minutes. The eventual result would be suffocation and death, but it won't be as immediate as we anticipate it to be. The second major difference would be the loss in the mass and pressure of our atmosphere. With almost 21% of the atmosphere suddenly gone, the atmospheric pressure would fall drastically. Consequently, the pressure inside our bodies would be much larger than the external pressure. As a result, there are significant changes that our inner structure of the ears would explode, particularly the eardrums, so the hearing damages would be an obvious result in the absence of oxygen. The third influence that the absence of oxygen may have would be on the high-rise buildings and concrete structures. Primarily, oxygen in the form of carbon dioxide plays a part in binding concrete and keeping these gigantic structures erect. If there were no oxygen, the concrete structures would simply come down falling like a free fall as they would become brittle. Ultimately, the stubborn and solid concrete would be reduced to tiny particles of dust. Number 4 on our list is the effect it will have on the plants around us. Since the absence of oxygen lasts only 8 minutes, plants will survive at least for some time. The reason is an obvious one. Some plants can switch their anaerobic condition where they don't need oxygen anymore. Even if that's not the case, there would be enough carbon dioxide available for plants to carry out photosynthesis. Photosynthesis produces oxygen so plants can use their own oxygen to survive, and initially they have more than enough carbon dioxide as well. So it seems like plants are slightly on the safer side. For longer absences of oxygen, they will also come under the pump. Now let's talk about aquatic life. If you want to survive this absence of atmospheric oxygen, well, the best possible option is to take a tank of oxygen and go for scuba diving. Deep inside the water, the impact of the absence of oxygen will surely be felt, but not as drastic as in the outer world. We all know that oxygen dissolves in water. When we imagine the influence of the absence of oxygen from atmosphere, we are not removing the oxygen already dissolved in water. So creatures and plants living beneath the surface of water are perhaps the safest in this oxygen absence saga. However, if it lasts for longer periods, the situations would certainly become all the more horrible. Let's move on to the 6th point on our list. We know that oxygen encourages combustion. In the absence of oxygen, no forms of combustion are possible until or unless we provide a separate oxidizer. As a result, all our cars and trucks will come to a standstill as their engines would choke temporarily in the absence of oxygen. Similarly, the airplanes will also see a shutdown in their engines. With no forward thrust possible, they will be left in a free-fall state and exhibit a projectile trajectory. The 7th effect that the absence of oxygen will have relates to metals and metallic structures. All pieces of untreated metal would instantly spot weld to each other. This one is of the more interesting impacts and would be certainly a treat to watch. The last effect on our today's list relates to COVID-19 patients already on the ventilators. If you are using oxygen directly from the air, then sorry to say this, but there is no chance of survival for these patients. However, if a stored reserve of oxygen is used to supply oxygen, then probably these people have the best chances of survival until or unless their stocks run out during those 8 minutes. So people on artificial or stored oxygen supplies would survive these scary 8 minutes quite easily. Let us know in the comment section what else could have happened in those 8 minutes. Share your views on it and suggest more topics for us to make exciting videos. We sign off.